Alright there, back again, a couple of days late. Not that there's a mass of subscribers out there waiting with bated breath for my latest video. I thought I'd do this one. I've had an interesting week, and I was just looking through YouTube, which seems to be my main form of entertainment now. In fact, my only form of entertainment. And I see there's a little bit of a trend to do red pill moments in people's lives that have changed their direction, set them off on difficult political careers or whatever. And I suddenly thought, what a brilliant idea that was. And I've got a bit of a red pill story. It probably makes no difference to anyone else in the world, but it certainly changed my moment. And that was, as I've probably explained before, I grew up on the Isle of Sheppey. I was quite happy there. It's a little small island off the coast of Kent, and everybody knows everybody, and it's quite easy. You don't have to climb the heights to be to do well locally. It's a typical small town, and it's great. It's got lots and lots of really good things about it. And I was there, and I'd got myself a good job as a salesman, and got a nice car with that, and I bought a reasonable house, little 3-bedroom terraced house, and I had a lovely girlfriend, and everything was going well, or should have been. But for one reason or another, I decided, or I started to put other things ahead of stability, and I started to get depressed and drink a lot, and gradually I destroyed that life that would have been normal. It would have been a normal everyday life with a decent job and a decent wife probably, and everything would have stayed. I'd made mistakes before in my life. I'd pulled my life back together. And if I'd managed to keep up that momentum, things would have stayed very normal. And then I had my red pill moment, and my red pill moment was when the latest girl in my life was leaving. She said to me, "You're so stupid, you don't know there's 2 types of check." And this might even be an English thing. I don't know whether Americans would have 2 types of check, and I haven't checked. And that is a check that we sign from the bank is spelled CHEQUE, and check, like I'm going to check whether that's there or not, is CHECK. And she was right. I didn't know that, and I run a small business. I used to do supplies into garages and workshops, and if the customer didn't pay me on the day, I used to write on the invoice, "check to follow." But because I didn't know any better, I wrote CHECK, oblivious of the fact that there was any other way to do it. And so she told me, knowing it would hurt my feelings, because I was full of my own importance. So I thought I was super smart and super fly. And in those few words, she managed to take that delusion away. So what did it do? Well, immediately nothing. Immediately, I was devastated. Here I was, I messed up my life again, didn't know what to do. But over a period, those few words started to eat their way into my brain, and I realised that she was right. I didn't know that there was 2 kinds of check, and that was because I'd not finished my education. I'd not tried to learn outside of school, and I'd gone on merrily through life thinking I was super smart and super clever, and in fact on the very basic elementary things I lacked knowledge. So I started writing a daily diary, which I've kept up for years now, and I'll write a page in this diary every day. Initially it was all about my upset over this latest breakup, and gradually that I did that for a few years. And when I used to reread it, I'd look back and I'd realise most of it didn't make any sense. It was all half sentences and misspelt words, and my grammar was terrible, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I took myself off to an English literature class. Remedial English and maths class, which I did for a while. Then they said, look, you're not quite at remedial level. Go and enrol in an O level English and an O level maths, which I did. And I went from there. I went and did I did those. I've got my O level English, and then I went off and I went and did an access course, which is like a fast access into university. And I did sociology and English again. And then I went off to university, and I did a degree in university. And I came out and went off and got some qualifications for work, and that led me down a route. I ended up working in the City of London as a construction manager and a site manager and one thing and another. And so I did lots of different things that I would never, ever, ever have countenanced as that guy on the Isle of Sheppey. He thought he knew enough. And those few words set me off to read a lot and study and to learn about politics and sociology and people. And eventually I moved off the Isle of Sheppey, and I've gone off and done different things. And they've not all been successful. In fact, some of them have been highly unsuccessful. But I've seen a side of life that I never would have seen had I remained. If I hadn't took the red pill, if I hadn't accepted those words from that girl as she was leaving, I would have stayed happy in my ignorance, and my life would have been far, far smaller, I believe. Instead, because I did take the red pill, I'm now. I live on this boat, and I'm doing different things. My life is totally different. That does not mean it's been super successful financially. That comes and goes, to be honest. But my eyes were opened to other ways of life. My certainty in life has gone. I no longer believe I know everything about everything, which I used to be sure I was. And I don't know if this is everybody's experience of gaining an education. I've actually learned how much I don't know, rather than how clever I am. I've just realised how big a world it is out there, and our 10 lifetimes wouldn't be enough to think you know everything about anything. So that's it. That's my red pill moment, along with Jordan Peterson and Lauren Southern and lots of other people that I've been viewing on YouTube, who have inspired me to move forward again and to use YouTube as a means of recording the efforts I'm making in life, and as a record that maybe, just maybe, someone else might get. I don't know whether inspiration is probably a bit of a strong word, but they might see how the biggest mistakes in our life can lead to a better outcome if we are able, and we're not always able. It took me a long time to accept what she'd said, and that red pill moment can send you down a fantastic route. But be ready for that old certainty, that old sense of place and purpose to go, and be ready to need to build a new one. Right, well, I think that's a good place to stop. Thank you for your time, should anyone see this, of course.